I don't think that a lot of people are as open as they think they are, or as accepting as they might feel that they are. When you move, sometimes I think people that you leave behind don't completely understand the state that you're in, because it's for them it's life as usual, right? But for you everything changes. Hello and welcome to my channel. In today's video I'm going to be talking about how moving abroad affected my relationships. I'm going to be telling you the positive and the negative impact that has had on how I interact with people in general, not just people that have been in my life from the past, but also new acquaintances that I've met along the way. So a little background though, I moved to Malta in 2013. Everyone's got their reason for moving abroad, and mine was because my then boyfriend, we were working at the same company, had been transferred to Malta for work. And I'd come to visit him twice already, and I decided, oh, okay. When he asked if I wanted to stay, I decided that, yeah, why not? It's a lovely place, as you can see. But when we make such decisions, many times we do that in the moment because of how we feel about certain aspects of our lives at that particular moment, and not always. Yeah, maybe there might be some long-term reasons behind it, like maybe when you move for work because you're looking for a better position at work, and you're thinking long term in terms of financial gain and having a much better standard of living, or maybe it's just because conditions, maybe political conditions, social conditions, economic conditions in your country isn't conducive to having a good life. And so you decide to move. So there's still some long-term thought processing involved in that. However, I think we many times do not consider some other mental aspects of moving abroad. And that is in particular to do with how it affects our relationships and how that will indirectly, inversely affect our mental health as well. Let me see if I'm gonna find a place to sit here. Oh, this is nice. It's a nice spot. What do you think? Before I moved to Malta, I had a very small group of friends already. I've never had a large group of friends, and I don't think I've really ever had a best friend per se. Because for me, my idea of what a best friend is, I don't know, perhaps my judgment is being clouded by what we see on the media, what we see on TV, and we read in books. But my idea of a best friend is someone that you can talk to and be yourself around, someone that you can have fun with, have great moments, and perhaps also bad moments as well. You share the good and the bad together. Oh, I think I have crumbs all over my face, probably. And you have fights, obviously, and you make up as well. But so I never really had that before. So for me, the concept of friendships and tight-knit friendship was never really in the equation for me. So the friends I had when I was at university, I had a somewhat close group of friends, but most of us, we all came from different regions, different states from the country. I'm from Nigeria, and we have states. It's a huge, huge country. And so soon after we finished from university, everybody just practically dispersed. And that was it, So it was just keeping in touch on Facebook once in a while. It wasn't very frequent either. But even before then, I had noticed that many of them, well, I didn't have like a huge bunch, but I had noticed that some of them were just my friends, mostly because of what they could get from me, to be honest. I had maybe just 2 friends that I could say maybe I could count on. But anyway, once I finished university, my friend group dwindled, and then I started working, trying to meet new friends again, and that's how I met my husband. Okay, so by the time my husband asked me to move to Malta with him, I didn't really have that kind of attachment to friends that would make me say, oh, but I'm going to miss my friends. Oh, but, I just like, oh, yeah, why not? Of course, I was already quite adventurous by spirit. And so it was an easy decision for me to make. Plus, my mom was late. My dad is a typical African man, so he's not really like that kind of lovey-dovey, touchy kind of person. And my brother just had his own life. So for me, it was easy for me to make that decision to move. So when I first moved here, I experienced a great culture shock, obviously. I mean, I'm an African girl. Moving to Europe, everything was completely different. The weather was completely opposite. In Nigeria, the culture is such that there is a kind of hierarchy. And the hierarchy, there is age hierarchy, and then there is money and status hierarchy. So even when you don't have money, you can still get respect. I think that's the idea. So you respect your elders. You respect people who are older than you, even if they're just older than you by a year or a few years. You respect people who are at a higher position at work. And so for me, when I came here, it was a bit difficult for me to adjust to that, everyone's equal kind of vibe. But it wasn't too difficult in the end. The weather was tough for me, but the toughest thing was that I felt lonely. I had this deep wave of loneliness, and I think it contributed to me sleeping a lot. I slept a lot. My first 2 months, I was just constantly sleeping. So, and then the fact that I had no friends, I had nobody except my boyfriend. He would go to work in the mornings. He would finish, let's say, about 3, 4, 5 p.m. depending on what was going on at work, and I would just be alone by myself. And since I grew up pretty much being by myself and being my own friend, it didn't come natural for me to just go out and meet people and make friends. It's not like I don't know how to make friends. I can make friends. I'm very friendly, and I can keep a conversation. I can get a conversation going, but it wasn't natural for me to just say, okay, I'm going out because I want to meet people and I want to make friends, right? So my first friend was made for me by my husband. He used to go to this coffee shop to have coffee, and one day he was like, come with me. So we went, and there was the barista, and she was so nice. She was really, really nice. She's from Romania. She was my first friend, and we're still friends. We still keep in touch on Facebook. But she was really nice. And I think it was also maybe because she was a foreigner. She comes from Romania, like I said. So she was really nice to me, very open. On my way to the supermarket, I would stop there, have a chat with her. We'd just hang out together for hours, until when I knew it was getting close to the time for my husband to get back home. And then I would go home, So that helped ease the initial loneliness, but still I could feel it. I tried to stay in touch with my friends back at home, but when you move, sometimes I think people that you leave behind don't completely understand the state that you're in, because for them it's life as usual, right? But for you, everything changes. A lot of things change, and so you try to keep in touch. I tried to keep in touch, but it wasn't the same anymore, I guess, because now we were having different interests and we were having different things to talk about. And that common ground, in friendship, there's always a common ground. There's a reason why you're together. You love doing things together. You have things to discuss. It just slowly, started to fade away. So I'm not going to blame it on them, of course. I'm not going to say, oh, yeah, they didn't understand me, and so they just, alienated themselves from me. No. I think it's a two-way thing. Relationships are always two-way. And so they had their lives, and that's understandable. But we just were not meeting at the same place anymore. And so we just drifted apart, and that made it difficult. Another thing that made it difficult was that the family that we leave behind, especially when you come and you move abroad from Africa, they expect a lot from you. They expect a huge lot from you in so many ways. So you are expected to keep the line of communication open. You are expected to do most of the calling and most of the keeping in touch and keeping up to date. At least in my case, that's what happened. I don't know if you moved abroad from Africa as well. If you're watching and you moved abroad from Africa, I don't know if you have a similar experience or if your experience was different. But for me, that was how it was. My dad does keep in touch. He's the kind of father that was always in touch, by message. He calls me more than I call him. Having your family, though, call you and talk to you is not the same thing as having your friends. And the fact that my family consisted of all men, I'm the only female in my family, made it even harder for me to make new friends, female friends. So anyway, fast forward, I meet a group of people. So I joined a group online, an online meeting group, and I convinced my husband to attend some events with me, and he did. And we met a group of people. However, when you move abroad, the people that you meet, especially when you move to a place like Malta, where most of the population, apart from the Maltese population, but the foreign population are very mixed up. So you have people from all over the world. The deal there is that many of these people come here for work. So you have the tourist gang. The tourist gang is a completely different world, a completely different thing. You can't make friends with tourists. They're going back home. Most of the foreigners who move here to Malta, at least back then, 10 years ago, were moving here for work. They were usually of a certain age bracket. But it was fun, it was fun. I had a lot of fun. I'm not gonna lie. I had a lot of fun. We went out, we went partying, dancing, drinking, picnicking. We went on boat trip. We would go to each other's places, we would have dinner at each other's places. But then Malta is small, okay? So a lot of people don't see it as a long-term place of residence. It's just a place, an intermediary or intermediate place, just for the time being. But there were people who eventually moved out of the island. And the few ones who stayed, you try to keep in touch. You try to keep it tighter. But somewhere along the line, life happens, life happens. So if you saw my video about friendships, I mentioned a friend that just ghosted me after over 6 years of friendship. And I also mentioned another colleague friend that just showed me that I didn't really matter, that she was priority and her problems came first, and every other person can just take a side burner, not even second, whatever.
Before I get into why I think these friendships faded, I've been thinking a lot about what it means to step into a new chapter of life. You see, there's a certain rhythm to life when you stop resisting change. A quiet shift, just like the tide rolling in and out, reshaping the shore without asking permission. Moving forward isn't about forgetting the past, it's about making peace with it. It's about understanding that some doors close just so that we can finally step through the ones we have been afraid to open. In this new era of life, friendships may change, solitude may visit, and uncertainty may linger. But there's beauty in the unknown, growth in the quiet moments, freedom in embracing who we are becoming.
Why do I think this happened? Why? I think that I still have my culture with me. I still have my ethics with me. And I don't think that a lot of people are as open as they think they are, or as accepting as they might feel that they are. My friends were of a different race. And of a different culture and background. And I don't think they completely got mine. Or maybe I just appeared too proper. I don't know. But your upbringing does shape who you are, ultimately. And my upbringing is kind of religious slash sanctimonious, you know, and all the taboos. Don't talk about this, don't do this, don't do that. And so I'm a very reserved person. Then of course there's my personality as well. So I don't like alcohol very much, and it has nothing to do with religion. It just has everything to do with how it makes me feel, and I don't like how it makes me feel if I drink too much. So when we go out, maybe I make them feel bad, you know, because I drink a lot less compared to them. Then you've got opinions, perspectives as well on different topics, and I have my own opinions, and I'm not ashamed to express my opinions, but it doesn't mean that I'm not accepting of other people's, right? I'm accepting of other people's point of views. I tend to be a realistic person, and I respect people's opinions. So if you have your opinion, that's fine, but for me, it doesn't mean that I cannot be friends with you, or that I cannot try to see things from your point of view. I'm always the kind of person who would welcome people, you know, like try to convince me to come over to your side. And if you can, then yeah. And if you can't, I stay where I am, and we can just continue being friends. Moving here affected not just how I interact with people, but it also affected how people back at home interact with me. So they see me as a different person now. They see me as someone who can't understand the culture anymore, who doesn't understand the culture anymore because now I have a new culture, you know. But I don't, you know. I think that we can be more than one, well, not more than one person because that sounds neurotic, but I think that we can be accepting of more than one culture, more than one idea. We can evolve. I mean, that's what life is all about, right? When you grow, as you grow, you evolve. And I do understand that as you evolve, your relationships with people also evolve. Your friendships will evolve. I also understand that friendships don't always have to last a lifetime. And sometimes you just find that you are taking different tangents in life, you have different interests, and that's fine, you know, that's fine. But it has definitely affected how I view friendships. I think for the better, because now I understand better that when people are just using me, maybe for entertainment in that moment, or from what they can get from me, for whatever reason they might have in their heads, I understand this. And so it has helped me come to terms with the people who have either hurt me or who have just ghosted me, and I'm just like, okay, that's fine, you know. It hurt, okay, now I can move on. I don't have to know exactly the reason why. Now I can just move on and move forward with my life. So currently I've decided to open up myself to meeting new people without expectations. So I'm not meeting people now anymore with the idea that I want to make you a possible friend. I'm just meeting people nowadays with the idea of, hey, okay, what shared interests do we have together? Can we have a conversation together without getting bored of each other? Can we have a coffee together now and then? You know, can I just say, hey, how you doing? What's up? And it be okay. And that's how I'm taking it. I hope that you resonated with this video. I hope that you found something useful about this video. Are you living abroad at the moment, or are you planning on living abroad? What is your friendship situation like? I'd like to know. Do you feel that if you moved abroad, or if you're living abroad, do you feel that it has affected the quality of your friendships, or has it made it stronger? Let me know, okay? So until the next video, ciao ciao, see you. And don't forget to subscribe if you're new.